I've got Christine Radlmann from Southpaw. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain. It looks like it's you're having beautiful weather there, and you currently are residing where?
I'm in New Jersey, although I'm planning to go to Buffalo later this month for the
Ah,
first
very
time.
good. Well, I'll maybe have to connect you with Robert. They have a really good thing going up there, and this podcast was going pretty well, and then they put a pause on it, and we're back at it. So thank you for doing this.
Sure thing.
So the first thing that you wanted me to cover, and I'm going to cover it right out of the gates, is your new single.
Yes. So our latest single out is called Tumbleweeds, and we also have an accompanying music video on YouTube, and it has been our most popular video by a mile. It's got well over 150,000 views. We don't know what we did right on this, but we're going to keep riding this wave.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. So I rep music for people, and yet you hit the nail on the head. What is seems to be hot and current one day isn't the next, and sometimes it's minute by minute. Did you do anything different with this one that maybe you didn't do with the others?
The song is a duet, and
Okay.
I have found in country music that duets just are huge. I mean, there's that current one, the Riley Green and duet that's killing it on the radio. So I don't know if it's the fact that the song is a duet, or is it that the video has a more like organic feel? It's sort of us playing in the studio. We really were playing it during the video. So I don't know if folks really like seeing that behind the scenes look at the making of a music video, because we also show some of the studio work. But whatever it is, I hope that we can capitalize this and do it again
Oh,
for whatever.
absolutely. And do you have a team of people that you work with, or are you guys kind of doing it yourself? How do you approach it?
As far as music videos,
Well, just promoting your product.
okay, so we are signed by Deco Entertainment, and they are fabulous, and they
Yep.
help us promote our not only our music but our merchandise. As far as the videos, we pretty much do that ourselves, and my bandmate Colin McConnell is phenomenal at directing and being a videographer himself. So he's usually able to have some sort of vision and get it together. And I'm an actress
Yeah.
in these videos.
Well, I mean that's great. And I happened upon your management company a little by accident because
Oh yeah.
a friend of a friend sent me a video by another band that they're representing. And when I went on the website, I saw you on there, and
Oh, great.
country music is a genre I don't profess to know the business that well. Um, and it tend that side of the business, and I find it tends to be very I don't want to say clicky, that's not the right word, but you have to prove yourself. They just don't open the door and say, "Hey, come on in." You have to show your worth. Is that a fair statement in that genre?
Oh, is that a fair statement? Yes. And when we first started out as Southpaw a couple years ago, I felt that right out of the gate because I was getting interviewed by radio stations in the South and in the Midwest. And they had first heard our music and really liked our music. And
Yeah.
that's why they were playing it and wanting to interview. And then once I'd get in the interview and they'd say, "Where are you from?" I would say New Jersey. And let me tell you, the just made fun of, Jersey.
Yeah.
Country music isn't Jersey. And I'd have to explain the history of country music in this state and how it actually does go back crazy far to Victor Records back in the day. And it's huge on the coast of New Jersey. It's the most popular music genre on the coast of New Jersey.
Here's what I'm going to say about New Jersey. So I love Jersey. I'm up in Canada. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Oh, I didn't realize you were in Canada.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Whereabouts in Canada?
I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which
Oh, I
is
love it there. I've been
yeah.
gorgeous.
Okay, awesome. So I've been to Jersey too. So now we're we're even.
And we both have that like coast vibe.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And we both probably have the same climate in terms of weather. It's damp in the wintertime. I don't know if you guys are starting to get a spring yet, but we really
oh
aren't
yeah.
yet, but we will. But Jersey is kind of known for the hardworking, blue collar, rough and tumble. You got to pay your dues to make it sort of thing. And that's kind of country music to me. Is that a fair
It
statement?
is that is country music.
Yeah.
So true. We have had to pay our dues, and playing a lot of gigs is one great way to do that because when people see that we can do this live,
Yeah.
we're not just a studio band. We absolutely bring it on stage. I call it the East Coast country vibe.
Yeah.
We do have a little edge to our music. It's a little more rock tinged, like rock pop tinged.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've paid our dues on stage and off, and now we've got a lot of radio stations that know us at this point
Yeah.
and get excited when our singles come out. They've been so supportive. I can't believe how supportive some DJs are of indie music.
Well, it's amazing because in the indie world, it's you're set up to fail by the majors, right? I
We
mean, it's like if you look at what happened. I know I'm preaching to the choir, right? But I deal with it every day. So I rep an artist who happens to be my girlfriend, and it's like the 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 walls that are put up to try to get through. If you don't have the stick to itness and the I'm just going to get it done regardless of what you guys think, it's a
Mhm.
very frustrating business and it's a very hard on the head business if you let it get that way.
Yes, especially if you're looking at streams,
Right.
because that is a tough nut to crack. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I will say the one good thing about being a musician right now in this era is that you can get your music into the hands of people so easily because everyone is streaming, right? Like, 30 years ago, would I have had people in Australia playing our music? Absolutely not. So, I
Great
mean,
point.
there's good and bad to
Great
it.
point. Well, and that's a good point because I get some of the radio lists today, and ads in the UK and Amsterdam and all, and I'm sitting there going, "Wow, I've never been to Holland," but the music's being played there, so it's kind of cool, right?
Yes.
Um, so in terms of what you guys are doing, you're saying you're playing a lot of shows. That's amazing because that can be up and down. I talk to people that they're playing a lot. Some people aren't playing that much. On average, what are you guys doing in terms of shows and live engagements?
I mean, between now and September, the beginning of September, we have like maybe close to 20 shows. So, almost every weekend or sometimes multiple times a week, we have gigs. We are choosy
Yeah.
about which ones we do. At this point, I'm not going to do like a dive bar gig. Those
Yeah.
days are over because we like to have a bigger audience. So we're picky. And I feel like we have some really cool venues lined up. But we just played Xfinity Live in Philly. That's always a blast. Really big venue where folks will attend a concert next door at the big arena. So it was the Chris Stapleton concert
Oh
on
yeah.
Saturday. And then everybody filters in to Xfinity. So that's like a perfect example of the type of venues that we love to play.
Um, you brought something up, and I want to kind of get your 2 cents on this because I think you might have a message in there for people that are kind of trying to do something in your genre. Um, so you mentioned no dive bars, and you're being selective about the gigs. What would you tell somebody? Okay, if they just want to have fun and do the cover thing, and that's perfectly all right. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you
Mm-hmm.
want to make a go at this in terms of the live performances and keying in on that, what would you tell somebody?
When you say make a go of it, are you saying make a go of it just as a live
You're
performer?
gonna write your own tunes. You're gonna
Okay.
record. You're gonna try to tour. You're gonna try to do
Yeah.
for real. I'll be a professional musician.
So, I mean, if you're going to be doing original stuff, I will say that it's harder to find the venues that want all originals.
Right.
Most don't. So, you need to find those singer-songwriter nights, the songwriter showcases. We've done a few of those ourselves. We always make sure to pepper those in here and there where you're just performing live music that's your own originals. But then what you want are large audiences. You want a good amount of people listening to you. So that's why we don't mind doing a lot of covers at a big gig because we will sneak in our originals.
Yeah.
And then you got a big audience there who's held captive. They're
Yeah.
stuck. They just heard, a popular song by whatever, Riley Green. And then we surprise them with our original. And every time the audience has so far been really receptive to what we perform that's original. I wouldn't do that the whole set.
Sure.
I've talked with many friends in Nashville who sort of say, a couple of originals per set
Right.
they'll throw in. And that's the advice that I've been following. And that seems to be getting us new fans, getting people to stream our music.
I love. So you mentioned Nashville because where I am, there's some people that um, they make the trip and they make the trek, and
Oh
you
yeah.
hear different things. And I've had the opportunity to get to know some really cool people. I interviewed Rich Redmond, who plays drums with Jason Aldean, and
Awesome.
and Rich has, he's one of the funniest guys, and I'm a drummer, and he
Oh,
just
are you?
yeah, and he basically said when he first moved to Nashville, he moved from Texas, and he had to reinvent himself. And his line was basically, I had to go down to all the places on the main drag, play for tips, and do that, and get my name out there. That's what it's like, right? If somebody wants to tell you different, that's pretty much what it's like down there,
I mean,
correct?
good for him for climbing his way up to such a big name as Jason Aldean. It's funny because we, at this point, we're friendly with so many folks in Nashville and we perform down there every year. It can be a real grind
Yeah,
when you are just doing that because you are like a slave to the bachelorette parties and the bachelor parties who
sure.
just, they don't really care about your musicianship. They just want you to play what they requested. They just want you to play what their $20 to your Venmo is asking for.
Yeah.
So that can get like really old and stale. So like, God bless him for enduring that until he was discovered by an
Yeah.
original act. And now he's probably loving what he does.
Well, I mean, he's an interesting dude because he's a drummer, he's an actor, he's a podcaster, I mean, he does so many. He's a motivational speaker, but he's one of the nicest, most down to earth people you ever want to meet.
That's
And
why drummers are my favorite.
well, and we always get a bad rap, and there's a million and one drummer jokes
What?
out there. But the best thing that he said is when he got down there was, playing basic beats because his line was because that's how drummers buy houses, and
Yep.
it was like,
Yep.
wow, very mature. And another great story, there's a gentleman by the name of Eddie Bayers who was a drummer who played on everything, Brooks
Oh,
and
everyone's
Dunn
record.
and Travis Tritt
Oh,
and
wow.
everything. If you go and look him up, Rich gave his tape to Eddie, and when I told Rich I was going to be talking to Eddie, he said, "Do me a favor and just see if you remember." And Eddie remembered it exactly. He remembered getting the tape,
Oh,
giving Jason
wow.
some advice, helping him out with some stuff. So it was very cool. My point of all that is Rich proved himself to a veteran down there, and the veteran took a little bit of time and helped him out. And I hear that sometimes that happens there, but maybe not a lot. Is that an actual factor?
I mean, well, we're following a couple acts down there to see what happens with them. And there's one gentleman, my bandmate, is, of course, now I can't remember the guy's name, but he's convinced he's get on the rise.
Yeah,
So I feel like you can kind of go down there. You just feel it when
yeah,
someone has that special something.
yeah,
And so it's fun watching that. Back in the day when Lainey Wilson was first starting out, I was following her from the get-go
yeah.
when she was pretty much nobody. And she was such a hard worker. Like, listen, she's super talented, but she doesn't have the most incredible voice you've ever heard.
Yeah.
She's not the most spectacular guitarist, but talk about hard work. I watched her I swear she did 300 interviews in 1 year. It was like every day I saw her on a little interview. One time, I think it was a live interview, like on Instagram Live, and there were only two people watching, and I
Yeah,
was one of them.
yeah,
And so she didn't care if it was a small outfit or a big outfit. Like she was going to perform and get her name out there as much as she could. And it totally benefited her. And so I use that a lot as inspiration for me. And when I'm talking to others, like you got to put the hard work in. It's absolutely not just about talent. And Nashville's downtown drag is the perfect example of that. There's talent at every single bar down there. These are
sure.
some of the best performers you're going to see, and only a couple of them will make it beyond that strip because you got to put in the insane amount of hard work.
No, for sure. And my personal thing is you have to go out and see who's doing what. But I also think if you get too bogged down into it, you get maybe a little discouraged and you go, ah. I'll
Yes.
give you an example. The other night, uh, my girlfriend's recording with our guitar player who actually works for an event management company. They do big, huge concerts, and all over the walls are all these bands that they booked and all that stuff. And I'm sitting there going, I could get pretty depressed walking around here if I took that into, but I don't because what I see is, okay, well, that's cool, but I'm not doing any of that. I'm doing my own thing, and so I
Mhm.
kind of didn't get immersed in it. So I think, to your point, you should go and see what's out there, but you should also go, hey, I can be just as good. I can do that, and kind of
Oh,
have that little bit of
absolutely.
confidence, right?
Absolutely. I mean, anyone can do anything if you
Yeah.
just want to put in your 10,000 hours and become the expert in that.
Well, and it's funny because you mentioned numbers, and you mentioned her having two people watching, and sometimes people get, even the quote unquote professionals. I had a pen explode. I keep seeing my
Oh
green
my
thumb here,
gosh.
but yeah. But even sheer numbers, even the so-called professionals don't sometimes understand them and where they come from and what's important, and what's not. And that's the other part about being an independent artist is trying to find that information and make it work for you.
Yes. I mean, everything is data.
Yeah,
And so gleaning what you can from it and trying to figure out your audience, we're still doing that. I
yeah,
mean, we haven't totally cracked the code yet. This video that we came out with this year is the most viral thing we've done so far. And
yeah.
so we're really trying to see, okay, where are people listening? Who wants more of this? And we're going to be releasing another song hopefully soon to again capitalize on this upswing.
No, absolutely. And I mean, this game is funny because you can do something like what, you talked about, and instead of the 150,000, maybe he gets 2,500 views, and then
Yeah.
some guy finds a potato chip that looks like Richard Nixon, and it gets the
Oh, it's so
150,000 views.
true. Oh, it's so true.
It's just such a weird game.
It really is. And especially on, I find TikTok
Yep.
is one of the hardest nuts to crack because I mean, someone will pop a pimple on there and get a million views. You know what I mean? That is nothing to do with talent. I don't understand the algorithm because sometimes it seems like TikTok's helping me out, and other times it seems like you're getting shadow banned for absolutely no reason. I don't get it.
Well, I mean, I've had the opportunity to meet some very, very in tune people in the business
Yeah.
that know about the algorithms and how to manipulate them and how to have them work for you. And
Oh, I
every
need
one
to
of them tells
talk
me
to
that if you're a major player,
you. Hmm.
you kind of get through that firewall and you're at a different level. And it's basically to keep all the people that aren't at that level out. And so everybody's constantly trying to figure out the better way to build a mousetrap, right? So yeah, but I mean, what you do is you don't look or listen to the guy or gal that's Googled the answer. You find out the people that are doing it and ask them because most of them are really good about sharing information.
Oh, I like to hear that.
Yeah, yeah. So happy to pass anything along that I find out because, like I
That's
say,
the
I've
comment.
had some success. Um, so I guess in terms of the song, it's been out how long?
Well, it's been out since January, but the video came out more recently than that.
Okay, so 150,000 views is amazing. Um, I guess what is your cycle going to be on that? You're going to keep it going for a little bit. You get another one in the chamber.
Yeah, another one is in the chamber right now. And as with every song, we were hoping to have already released it, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure every artist feels this way. You're so close,
yeah.
and we just have to put some finishing touches on this next song. But it's a beautiful one, and I joke that every year we write a gut-wrenching song that's just gonna like rip your heart out, and
Sure.
this next one is gonna be that the year's gut-wrenching song.
No, and that's fantastic. And I mean, the other thing that the vibe that I'm getting from you, and I mean, I haven't talked to your folks in your band, but the vibe that I'm getting is you're just kind of doing your own thing, and it's working for you. You have a good team of people behind you, like your management company. I mean, I reached out to them and I said, "Here's what I'm doing," and they immediately got back to me, and you were the first one that they dropped in my lap, so which
I'll
is
reach back
great.
out.
Yeah,
They're awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
they really respect indie artists and have quite a few in their repertoire.
Well, I mean, and that's a good thing because it's hard to be an indie artist in this business.
Boy, it is.
Yeah,
It is hard. I don't even know if we knew what we were getting ourselves into when we started, because who does, right? You're
yeah,
just excited to do something. Um, and that's probably good to go in with
yep,
blinders on, because it would have been too daunting if I
yep,
had known how much work there was and how like how face forward you have to be nowadays, because back, we're kind of an older generation of musicians compared to like the 22-year-olds who are out there right now.
yep.
And so back when I was young and music was coming out, it really was about the music before sometimes you even saw what the artist looked like.
Yep.
I remember when like Alanis Morissette came out and I didn't even know what she looked like. I just heard this song. And same thing with Mariah Carey. I heard her music, no clue what she looked like. And now it's like you have to be producing content that really has nothing to do with your music. You just have to be showing face and being clever or showing your personal life. Like there's just a lot of sharing that has
That's
to go on.
that's a masterclass statement that you just made there, because a lot of people overlook that, and they get frustrated, and especially people that I know that are of my, I came up, I was in, junior high when Bon Jovi came out, and that whole hair metal band thing. But I mean, I open up the pages of the magazine, I go, okay, no problem. I got to move to LA. I got to grow my hair long and make it like this, and I got to drink a lot and get okay proficient at my. But nowadays, you have to be, the influencer, the
Mhm.
star, the whatever, and the talent sometimes is way, 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 way.
And then to find the time to be writing and recording and gigging
Yeah,
while you're also, I mean, creating content could be a full-time job
yeah,
in and of itself. I mean, the amount of time that you end up spending on social media is just wild.
it's great. It is. Yeah, no, no question. I have a friend that's actually from up here. He's from Nova Scotia, who lives in Nashville now. He's part of that group that writes for people.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and he
What's his name? Just in case. So it's sometimes it's an
Gordy Sampson.
incestual. What's his name?
Gordy Sampson.
Gordy. Okay.
So Gordy Sampson's big kind of first thing in Nashville was he was one of the co-writers of "Jesus Take the Wheel" by Carrie Underwood.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Good for you. I love driving by Gordy's house when I'm going up through his hotel. But anyway, he's talked about on occasions that I've been around him that basically you're writing these songs and it's opposite now. You're not pitching the songs to the artist. You're more or less doing the songs, and for the newer artists, they're doing the pitch of, hey, I should do your song. And so you guys are writing your own material?
We write all of our own material and we would love for a big up and comer,
Yep.
to take one of our songs. It's certainly something that we're working toward.
Because that to me, just from everybody that I've talked to, the one part of the Nashville sort of country genres, they like that control of being able to have a hand or their fingers in the process of writing the stuff.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
same.
how do you feel about that?
Listen, we all just want to have a song
Yep.
that's a hit
Yep.
that your name is on. So I'd be totally willing to sell out and have
I don't
Carrie
think you'd
Underwood.
totally be willing to sell out, but
Yeah, well,
I get what you mean.
it'll say songwriter Carrie Underwood
Sure.
and the Southpaw songwriter. So we would be absolutely down for that type of collaboration. I think it's laughable sometimes when you look at the song credits and there are like 13 songwriters on a
Yep.
Morgan Wallen song. And
Yeah.
I'm like, there are 12 lyrics. How are there this many cooks in the kitchen? I'm not totally sure since we've only been doing our own stuff and it's three of us total
Yep.
as the songwriters. So yeah, I get a kick out of that, but we would love to have a big name, take one of our songs. We have had one of our songs in an Amazon Prime series,
Oh, cool.
just in the background,
Yep.
but we would love for a song to be more featured in a show or commercial. I mean, we totally dig that stuff. My one bandmate has a background in marketing.
Yep.
He worked for Prudential for many years, and this is like his thing. I mean, that's like marketing 101.
Well, and that world's so funny now because I'll get a call for somebody, hey, I need you to do a track. And I'm like, send me the song. And I get this 45-second snippet, and it's a
Yeah.
bunch of sounds that they want for a video game.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's like, okay, so I'm not getting to show my skills, but that's the world. And I mean, it can be very lucrative if you
Well, I
keep
was
your
gonna
mind
say,
open,
hey, you're getting a paycheck to do something you enjoy doing.
right?
How many
And
people can say that?
I did a course last year, come up with 100 things that you can do in the music business that are honest and moral and legal to make money. And I didn't have
That's
two tracks for
cool.
video games, but I mean, it's there, right? So
Totally there. Yes. I see
yeah,
some of those briefs online where they're specifically looking for certain sounds or songs for video games. Yeah.
No question. And back to your 13 writers in a song. So where it gets fun is, and you may have had this happen before, I don't know, where you write something and there's somebody that you're involved with is kind of like, take it, whatever. And then it becomes something of significance and they lurch back into the picture and try to take credit for something that, have you had
Oh,
that happen yet?
so that hasn't happened yet. What I'm finding is that, and this is no insults to any of my friends out there, but everybody has a song
Yep.
and everyone wants to share their song with us.
Yep.
And I'm very protective of Southpaw and the Southpaw brand. Like,
Yep.
I haven't worked my ass off for this long for nothing. So I I don't really want anyone else's song as of right now. I guess if something totally struck me and I thought I'll die if I don't have this as a Southpaw song, that would be a different story. But I feel like once a week, someone is sending me their song lyrics and asking if it can be a Southpaw song.
Well, Christine, I think it feels like you and I rehearsed this ahead of time because you are your own brand, and very few people get that. A lot of people overlook that, and I think
Hmm.
if you can be fiercely unapologetic about protecting that brand and do what you're doing, then that's not a bad thing, uh,
Ooh, okay.
right? So, well, seriously, I go through it with people that I work with all the time where
Mhm.
they feel they have to, be nice, but the thing is, it's like, okay, well. I'll use this example. So I'm representing you, and all of a sudden I see you at some club at this jam with like really crappy musicians and nobody there. And all of a sudden it goes on social media, and I'm going, Christine, what are you doing? And that tends to happen. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so it's a whole, be nice sort of thing, right? So anyway, we
Yes.
could go on and
Yes.
on about that. So last question, I guess. I may have a couple for you when we stop recording, but um, has your strategy been to do the what seems to be super popular right now, the whole waterfall release, where you're instead of putting out a full compilation, you're doing singles to kind of lead up to
It's
the collection?
interesting that you asked that. So we started off with full albums,
Yeah.
really. That was our thing. Because again, we're more old school and we love an album. I mean, I still have a record player and play vintage albums. So we have already released two full albums. The last of which was called Drugstore Candy, came out last year. And since then, we are trying the tactic of releasing more singles,
Yeah.
eventually leading into an album, but we're going to see how the whole waterfall goes for us because we haven't attempted that yet. So
I
we'll
think you'll
see.
find it'll work well
Yeah,
because people's attention spans are so brutally
I know, right?
low right now. It's a shame. This will be the last question. Where do I send my folk to find out more about Southpaw and you and what you're doing?
Yeah, so we are on all social media channels as Southpaw City. One word, at Southpaw City, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Find us anywhere, plus the little indie channels, Bandcamp, wherever you want to get free music, we're on there as well. And you can find us on decoentertainment.com. That's our record label. You could search for Southpaw on there. And plus, they have a ton of other incredible acts and musicians that you might find that you like.
They do. I want to thank you, Christine, for doing this.
Thank you so much. This was so great.
Let's stay in touch. We'll be back
Yes,
after this,
please.
boys and girls.